What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the No Fun League. We are doing another mock draft today. It is Thursday after all. This mock draft will have a lot of trades, a lot of chaos. Some things won't make sense. It is not meant to be 100% realistic, but every trade is something that I think could happen, has been rumored to happen, or just an intriguing possibility that we should talk about. At number one, I still think that the Titans go get Cam Ward. I think it makes the most sense for them as a team to do so. They have a lot of good pieces that can surround a quarterback. They just need to find their quarterback, and Cam Ward is the best quarterback in this draft class. At two, the Cleveland Browns, I think they trade back with the Las Vegas Raiders. Every single trade I make will also be a forced trade, just so I don't have to haggle with a computer GM. But I think the Las Vegas Raiders ran by Tom Brady now with attracting someone like Ben Johnson as head coach. I feel like that's the best fit for him. And that's where he's leaning towards, or at least he's taking the interview because of Brady. But this makes a lot of sense, in my opinion. It's a flashy guy for a team in a flashy city. It's a good quarterback with a good relationship with Tom Brady. And with Brady helping out with whatever coach that they get, I think Shedeur Sanders could be very successful in Las Vegas. At three, with the Giants, now, quite frankly, I am a Giants fan, and this is something that I really, really want to happen. So I'm kind of just manifesting it right now with this pick or with this trade. But I have the Giants trading the third overall pick to the Minnesota Vikings for pick 24 and JJ McCarthy. I think I forgot to hit force trade, but with the massive jump up, 21 picks, I think this constitutes getting a first rounder back. And I think this is a win-win trade for both teams if it ever does happen. The Giants get their franchise quarterback without having to overdraft one this year, while the Vikings have clarity on their quarterback situation. They go with Sam Darnold, they pay him, and they get Travis Hunter to add to that team. This year, you relied on Shaquille Griffin and Stephon Gilmore as your corners. They're both old. They played well, but they're both old. It was part of the reason why you got a little cooked in the Rams game. However, you get Travis Hunter. He can slide in on offense occasionally with Addison, Naylor, Hawkinson, Justin Jefferson, and he can be a lockdown cornerback for you. At four for the Patriots, another team that I think just this fit makes way too much sense for it not to happen. Abdul Carter going to the Patriots, the best defensive player in this draft class, and a perfect fit with Mike Rabel and a guy that will match that attitude constantly. At five for the Jags, Mason Graham makes the most sense. Great D lineman for a team that needs it. You have Josh Allen and Trayvon Walker, or Josh Hines Allen and Trayvon Walker at the edge, but you need an interior presence, and Mason Graham gives you that. At six with the Cleveland Browns, I have them trading back again, a double trade back with the Miami Dolphins. I think that the Dolphins trade up and get the best wide receiver in this draft class in Teteroa McMillan. I think Tyreek Hill does end up being traded despite what his agent said last week. And I think this makes the most sense for the Dolphins to get a good young receiver in. Also, Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill have very similar styles of playing receiver. And I think that hurts that offense sometimes. I think they need a bigger body that can just go up and get the ball from Tua. And I think for Cleveland, it makes sense to recoup some of those draft picks and just have multiple picks to build out this roster. Because once again, a quarterback like Justin Fields or a Russell Wilson type, Tyrod Taylor even coming back, this team with just a competent quarterback can go to the playoffs. You saw that with Joe Flacco. So I think a trade back makes sense just to replenish some of your holes on your roster. And then you just find a veteran quarterback to fix everything, per se. At seven with the Jets, I think they pick Will Johnson, the corner from Michigan. He did not have as good of a season this season as last season. Obviously, they won the national championship. He also has a higher elevated profile when you're playing in the college football playoff. But he's a really good cornerback, has all the skills you want. Pairing him with Sauce Gardner gives you an elite young cornerback duo for years to come. At eight for the Panthers, I think they go Malachi Starks. I thought about Ashton Gianti, but they kind of Chuba Hubbard had a really good season last year. You drafted Jonathan Brooks. It doesn't make sense to draft a running back again. And you do have a lot of holes that you need to fill on defense. Malachi Starks does that for you. At nine with the Saints, I have another trade back. And this is another one where, like, if it happened, it would be very cool and it would make a lot of sense. But I don't know how possible it will be. But I have the Bengals trading up to get Ashton Gianti. I know wide receiver will probably be a need when T. Higgins walks because you don't have enough money that teams like the Patriots do to pay him. However, I think you replace that. Jamar Chase, Andre Yushivas, whatever tight end you get, if you keep Gesicki or someone else, Jermaine Burden, if he improves and figures out some of the off the field stuff, you have decent receivers. You can add more. Joe Burrow has never had a good running back on the team. Like Joe Mixon was fine, but like Joe Mixon's getting up there in age. Joe Mixon is not like an elite top five running back, and he's never been an elite top five running back. Ashton Gianti can be an elite top five running back. And I think it makes a lot of sense for the Bengals offense. At 10 with the Chicago Bears, I have them picking Nick Skirden, the edge rusher from Texas A&M. Another really, really good athlete, really good player. Makes a lot of sense for this team. You have a really great secondary. You've signed linebackers and free agency. Now let's finish building that defensive line. You pair him with Montez Sweat, and I think that defense can be scary good. At 11 with the Niners, I have them taking Will Campbell, the best tackle in this draft class, falls to the Niners at 11, and he can sit for a year and learn from Trent Williams. He can step in and play if someone gets hurt. But I think you need to start planning for Trent Williams not being there and also just make that offensive line better because it kind of sucks right now outside of Trent Williams. At 12 with the Dallas Cowboys, Luther Burden, similar to what happened with CeeDee Lamb a few years ago when they drafted him. I think Luther Burden makes a lot of sense for them as a team. They need a running mate opposite CeeDee Lamb because it's just not cutting it. Like a team can take out CeeDee Lamb and then the Dallas offense kind of gets stuck in the mud. I think you need a second really good receiver, and Luther Burden gives you that. At 13, after trading back twice, I have the Browns taking Kelvin Banks, tackle from Texas. Second best tackle in this draft class, can play guard or tackle in some people's opinion. Shout out Matt Miller from ESPN. But I think this gives you the tackle that you need to once again keep building the offensive line, and whoever the next quarterback is, give them at least somewhat of a chance. At 14 with the Colts, I had them trading back with the Denver Broncos. I think that yes, the Colts need a lot of things, but also picks are always good. And Denver, I think, will be aggressive this season in building this team around Bo Nix and getting him the weapons that he needs. And I think they go get Tyler Warren. I don't know if y'all saw that game against Notre Dame, but Tyler Warren was the only thing that was keeping that Penn State offense running. And he is such a good player, such a tough tight end, really great athlete. And that Denver offense, Cortland Sutton, a decent selection of running backs, and you add in Tyler Warren, that is a phenomenal offense to build around Bo Nix. And Sean Payton loves his tight ends. At 15 with the Falcons, I had them sticking and picking with Jalen Walker. They need help defensively. I think they should have drafted Laiatu Latu last season, but no, they needed Michael Penix after giving Kirk Cousins $180 million. I complain about that decision once a week on this podcast, but I have them taking Jalen Walker, helping out that defense. You've been relying on older guys and misfits at a lot of defensive positions. That's part of the reason why you fired your defensive coordinator again. So go get a young player that is an absolute star at Georgia, Jalen Walker. At 16 with the Cardinals, I have them taking Josh Simmons, tackle from Ohio State. Now, he is a really good player. He missed most of the season with a knee injury, but a really good tackle that I think can pair well with Paris Johnson and protect Kyler Murray for as long as he's the quarterback and solidify that offensive line once and for all. At 17 with the Saints, after trading back, I have them taking another Ohio State receiver, Emeka Egbuka. Chris Olave's NFL future, I think we forgot about it, but it is kind of up in the air with the concussion history and things of that nature. Rashid Shaheed is not really he's not a star receiver for you, unfortunately. But Emeka Egbuka is just a chain mover that if it's Derek Carr, if it's someone else, whoever the quarterback is for New Orleans, he gives you a reliable chain mover and a good wide receiver to build around. At 18 with the Seahawks, I have them trading back with the Washington Commanders. Yes, the Commanders don't have a lot of picks, but once again, like the Broncos, I think once you find out that you have a franchise quarterback, you want to do everything to build the rest of the team out to give him the best possible chance to succeed. And I have them trading up for Benjamin Morrison, cornerback Notre Dame. They have a massive need at corner. They tried to fill it with Marshawn Lattimore. That has not worked out that well so far. But I think Benjamin Morrison gives you another really good corner to have on that defense because the Emmanuel Forbes pick did not work out whatsoever. At 19 with the Bucks, I have them taking Mykel Williams. They had to sign Shaq Barrett off the street to come back and provide some edge rushing help. You have guys like Yaya Diaby, who I think can be really good on the interior line. Now you got Vita Vea and Kalijah Kancey. You pair that with Mykel Williams, you have some young corners. I think this defense can be really good. At 20, after trading back, I have the Colts taking Shamar Stewart, another edge rusher, a little run on defensive players. I think this is another position that this team really needs. They tried to address it with some young guys a few years ago, Kwity Paye and some other picks in the later rounds. It has not worked out to the best degree, and you can always have more pass rushers. So I have them going Shamar Stewart. At 21 with the Steelers, I have them trading back with the Buffalo Bills, another team that I think will be really aggressive this offseason because they kind of pulled a Chiefs where they let go of Stephon Diggs and they started rebuilding the team in the fashion that they wanted to, and it's been more successful than it was before. So I think that this is the path that they're on going forward. I have them taking Matthew Golden from Texas. Watching him play in the CFB playoff and some other Texas games that I watched this season, just an absolute dog at receiver. Him, Keon Coleman, Khalil Shakir, with James Cook, Dawson Knox, Dalton Kincaid. That is an extremely good offense. That is an extremely well-rounded offense because that offensive line just dominates people. And I think that's the perfect fit for Buffalo. And Brandon Beane has admitted that he gets impatient and feels like trading up. So I think this works out perfectly for them. At 22 with the Chargers, I have another trade. I think they trade back with the Houston Texans. A few picks, not anything super drastic, but I think the Texans move up to get their guy at D line. I did not have Walter Nolan going in the first round last week, but I have him going in there this week. I think he's a really good player. And with Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter, I think it would be the perfect fit on that defense. At 23 with the Packers, I have them taking cornerback Jahdae Barron from Texas. Did not have a great game against Ohio State. Kind of, the Ohio State receivers, the Ohio State offense in general cooked against Texas, but I think he's a really great player. At 24 with the Giants, I have them taking Josh Connerly, the tackle from Oregon. You get your franchise quarterback in JJ McCarthy. You trade back 21 spots. Yes, you miss out on some of the high end defensive talent, but Josh Connerly to play at right tackle opposite Andrew Thomas. You have JMS at center. You have guards. Jermaine Illuminor can play guard. You sign John Runyon to play guard. I think that's the best case scenario for this offensive line. And best case first round, if you're a Giants fan, you get a better quarterback than what's available in this draft class in JJ McCarthy, and you get a tackle. At 25 with the Chargers, I think this works out well for them as well. Jim Harbaugh gets his guy, Colston Loveland, another really good athlete at tight end. Not as good as Tyler Warren, in my opinion, but just a great player. Plus, he's a Michigan guy, and Harbaugh loves his Michigan guys. At 26 with the Rams, I have them taking Sherron Revel, the cornerback from East Carolina. Once again, not a massive school, but I think a really great player. At 27 with the Seahawks, I think this is a very Seahawks pick. I have them taking Carson Schweisinger. I believe that's how you pronounce his name, the linebacker from UCLA. 100 tackles this season. Really good player, really good in all metrics of what you want a linebacker to do. And that's what this team is missing. The Mike McDonald offense, defense, like we saw in Baltimore, revolved around Roquan Smith, got so much better when Roquan Smith landed in Baltimore. And I think Carson can be your guy to build that defense around in Seattle. At 28 with the Ravens, I have them taking James Pierce Jr. This is a team that's been looking for edge help consistently in the last few drafts, and they haven't really gotten it. They're relying on a guy like Kyle Van Noy to provide the edge presence, which he's doing a great job of. However, James Pierce Jr. is a very Baltimore pick. He's a really good athlete. He puts up good numbers. There are questions off the field, but I think in a good culture like Baltimore, you can fix that and you can provide the right environment for the player to succeed. I have them taking James Pierce Jr. At 29 with the Steelers. This is a non-Steelers pick, but I have them drafting Jalen Milroe after trading back. I think this roster, they drafted a lot of O linemen last season. They drafted Roman Wilson. They have George Pickens. You have really good defensive players. You're missing a quarterback. And, if you resign Russell Wilson, Jalen Milroe can sit behind him for a season and then take over. But you need to go find your franchise quarterback, especially if you're Mike Tomlin and you want to keep your job. After that, I think at 30, the Eagles picked Jack Sawyer, the D end from Ohio State. Once again, this is a team that always wants edge help. I think someone like Josh Sweat can walk in free agency because the Eagles have some other guys and because, financially, it might not make the most sense to pay Josh Sweat a lot of money. But I think Jack Sawyer would be a great fit for them. At 31 with the Chiefs, I have them taking a defensive lineman. Cornerback is also a huge need for them. I have them taking Derek Harmon from Oregon. I know he's further down the board, but really good edge rusher at the D tackle position, can pair well with Chris Jones. And I think that fills a need for the Chiefs. And at 32 with the Detroit Lions, I have them taking a linebacker as well. I have them taking Jahad Campbell from Alabama. I think that even with the Jack Campbell pick, you have a misfit group at linebacker. You have Alex Anzalone, Derek Barnes, Jack Campbell. I think Jahad Campbell fits in perfectly and provides something that you don't already have with the linebacker position.